101. That's right. Football 101 is officially back, and our show, this special show at the end of the 2021 season, is called NFL Coaches Fired and Hired 2022. That's right. It's that time of the season. The season is officially over for a majority of the teams. And the day after the regular season, the 18 games, this is when coaches get fired and hired. Wow. Whoa. We are really here. And let me just say, at this time, again, the Beetle understands football inside and out. I do. But I listen and learn each and every year. I get as much information as possible from each team, each organization, each coach before I make my predictions. So I do my research before I make these shows or these predictions. So again, and I'm going to start off. And let me just preface this as well. This is, again, I'm using this. It's really not a show that I really want to do, but it's a show that I have to do. So there's a difference. This is not a show that I really want to do, but a show that I have to do. The reason why I don't want to do the show is that, when coaches get fired, they lose their job. Not just the coaches, it's the families, it's the assistant coaches, it's the staff. It really is a sad day in the NFL when you really think about it. Because people's lives are dramatically changed in an instant. The NFL, whether it's the NFL, but it's also looking at college too, but particularly the NFL, it's a cutthroat business. It's a bottom line business. It's not a great business. And then just speaking of business, not a great business to be in. If you're a head coach, assistant coach, staff member, it's a very tenuous situation unless you're one of the upper tier coaches. So unfortunately, I have to do this show. I have to do this show. And so here we go. Let me get down to the brass and what I've heard from different outlets, from my key contact folks around the league, from Good Morning Football. Let me do a shout out to Good Morning Football, the staff of Good Morning Football that I watch each and every day. Again, the NFL Network with Good Morning Football gives me the insight with some of their reporters. Pelissero, great reporting. Again, they give you the insight, and let me just give the team of Good Morning Football, Kay Adams. Thank you, Kay Adams, for hosting Good Morning Football. Kyle Brandt, fantastic job. And Peter Schrags, fantastic job. So I watched Good Morning Football, the crew there, and they provide the insight, all the backdrop, a lot, and a lot of the fun stuff about the NFL. So props to Good Morning Football, props to Kay Adams, props to Kyle, props to Peter Schrags. Again, and also Pelissero doing the reporting and all the other reporters. So let me just get to the some of the major firings. Unfortunately, the firings. First one that just happened. Brian Flores. Wow. Brian Flores fired from the Miami Dolphins. Fired from the Miami Dolphins. He's only been there 3 years. African-American coach. Fired. And what I have learned from this fire, the cause of the firing, even though they didn't make the playoffs the past, but they lost their first 8 games, and then they won their last 8 games. Phenomenal turnaround. Yeah, here's the thing about. Let me just say, one of the things that happened in the NFL. It's very things just happen like overnight, and management has to get has to work with ownership. Ownership has to work with management. Management has to work with the coaches. Well, what apparently has happened with Brian Flores, he's a student of Belichick out of New England. Brian Flores is a great coach. He's more of a defensive coach. He's a great coach. Very physical, in your face, emotional. I remember the segments they did on his family. Very, very renowned, solid human being. But apparently through the season and last season as well, his management style, handling the players, did not go well with the general manager. So apparently Brian Flores, the head coach, did not get along with the general manager in Miami. They conflicted several times, not just this year, but last year. And then when the general manager was trying to bring in some other players on the team, and Brian Flores didn't like it. And I don't even know if Brian Flores really wanted to work with Tua, the quarterback from, he's only 2 years in the league. Tua, that did not work well. Yeah, Tua, and they have an up-tempo offense, but their defense was it was not physical enough. Really not a physical team. Oh, offensively, they're not a physical team. They're not a team that scares you. They're a fast-paced team. They're a trending team. They get in the groove and they can stay in the groove, but when they're not in the groove, they don't look good. But they managed to win their last 8 games, which was good, but they haven't made the playoffs. So Brian Flores was let go. He was fired. And I really don't like to see it, but you can see that was coming last year. And let me just say this. I've been a diehard Dolphins fan from way back in 1971-72. With the Miami Dolphins going to the Super Bowl, the perfect season with Bob Greasy, the quarterback, with Larry Zonka, the fullback, with Jim Kick, the running back, and Mercury Morris, the running back, and my boy Paul Warfield, wide receiver, coming from the Cleveland Browns back in 1972, and I was fortunate to see them live. And that no-name defense. So I've been a Miami Dolphins fan for decades. And it's just sad to see them not elevating their history of championship to another level now in 2022. So I saw this coming, and unfortunately Brian Flores was let go. And I believe they have, I'm going to tell you who they will hire in place of Brian Flores. But don't feel sorry. Again, I said, don't feel sorry for Brian. He's already got him picked for another head coaching job. So unfortunately, fired Brian Flores. Also fired for Minnesota Vikings, Mike Zimmer, fired, along with the general manager, Rick Spielman, fired, let go. They cleaned house in Minnesota. As they say in Minnesota. Yeah, again, Mike Zimmer, it was going downhill. His defense, good defense, but was going downhill. They only have the quarterback there with a big contract. Oh, man, but they have the running back, Dalvin Cook, superstar, and they have Jefferson, superstar wide receiver. They really do have a very, very talented team. They also have on defense Peterson, the cornerback, all-pro cornerback. They have a very, very high-level team, and there's no reason why they should not make the playoffs and should not compete for that AFC, an NFC North division all the time. But it's poor coaching. Mike Zimmer had to go. He just couldn't get over the hump. People like Mike Zimmer came from the Cincinnati Bengals, but he just didn't bring it. The defense was going downhill. And so they got rid of Mike Zimmer, as well as the general manager, Rick Spielman. Next, we know that Urban Meyer was fired in the middle of the season, towards the end of the season. The Jaguars, Urban Meyer needed to go with his off-the-field antics and his college mentality. His czar mentality had to go. Urban, go back home. Yeah, I said, Urban, go back home. They got rid of Urban. They're looking for a younger coach who has NFL knowledge. Urban was just a college coach, didn't understand the NFL world, didn't understand professionalism. Urban, your coaching days are over. Okay, end of story on that. Urban had a great career as head coach. Sorry, Urban, you lived in a bubble too long, Urban Meyer. Gone. Also fired Vic Fangio from the Denver Broncos. That experiment bombed. And I tried to tell John Elway, the general manager for the Broncos, it would not work. Vic Fangio, longtime coach, but fairly conservative coach, old style coach. It just doesn't work today. Again, Elway hiring Vic Fangio a few years ago thought, I'm going to bring a traditional old school type of football. No, it doesn't work in today's NFL. They got rid of Vic Fangio. He's just not experienced enough. He's too old school, and his staff was not there. They have to go. They got rid of Von Miller, and several other players were leaving. Vic Fangio fired. Let go. Also, from the Chicago Bears, Matt Nagy. We saw this coming last year. Yeah, we saw this coming last year, but they saved him to reduce their payout. So Matt Nagy's gone, as well as the general manager, Ryan Pace. So they cleaned house in Chicago. The Bears, with Justin Fields, they need to start all over. Because Justin Fields, he needs to be nurtured. He needs to be groomed as an NFL quarterback. Justin Fields from Ohio State needs help. So they got rid of Matt Nagy. Didn't know how to use Justin Fields. And just earlier today, just a few hours ago, before the taping of this show, the New York Giants have fired their coach, Joe Judge. That's right, fired their coach, Joe Judge. And you saw this coming when their general manager, Dave Gettleman, retired yesterday. So when the general manager retires, guess what? The coach is going to go next. They fired Joe Judge after only 2 years as the head coach for the New York Giants. So they got rid of Joe Judge. Just didn't know how to coach pro, and he's a tutelage of who? Belichick up in New England. They said, get yourself out of here. We don't want that Belichick type of stuff. Get yourself. Joe Judge, he looked like a fish out of water. He didn't know every time I saw a segment on him, he just looked out of touch. He just didn't know how to work with professional players, and no mentality, no professionalism about him. He needs to just be a assistant coach. So again, it's just like this favoritism that happens in the NFL is so ridiculous. And then the final potential, unfortunately, let go. Maybe, now here's another thing, maybe if the Las Vegas Raiders do not win in their playoff game against the Bengals, they will let go Rick Pisacci, and as well as and they'll bring in a new coach. And I haven't planned for that. So again, the coaches that are fired, unfortunately, Brian Flores, Mike Zimmer, Urban Meyer, Vic Fangio, Matt Nagy, Joe Judge, and potentially Rick Bisaccia. Now, who's hired? Here's already heard just hours ago. Brian Flores, the coach that was just fired by the Dolphins 2 days ago, he is the front runner for the Chicago Bears job. That's right, Brian Flores, the brother with the Miami Dolphins. He is the front runner for Chicago, and it makes sense. It makes sense. Brian Flores would fit so well in Chicago with Justin Fields. A great fit in Chicago. So that's my contact folks are telling me, my insiders. Yes, the Beetle has insiders. Football 101 has insiders. I have my own insiders. And my insiders are telling me that Brian Flores will be the next head coach for the Chicago Bears. Also, my insiders are telling me the next coach for the Miami Dolphins will be Jim Harbaugh. I said it, Jim Harbaugh, currently the head coach of the University of Michigan Wolverines. Harbaugh wants to come back to the NFL, and it looks like his best buddy is affiliated with the Miami Dolphins organization, and he wants to go to South Beach. Jim Harbaugh wants to leave Michigan to hang out in South Beach at the Miami Dolphins. That makes sense. He's tired of Michigan. I don't blame him. He's tired of Michigan, and he wants to go down to South Beach, Miami, and hang out and have fun and coach and do all the raw stuff down in Miami. He's tired of Michigan. He's tired of cold weather. Jim Harbaugh, he goes where's the money going. Now he's the inside track to the Dolphins. If he doesn't go to the Dolphins, he will go to the Las Vegas Raiders. So he has an option. He's really being recruited by two ownerships. By Mike Davis of Las Vegas Raiders, as well as the gentleman Ross in Miami. I think he will go to Miami because why? Also, Miami Dolphins has a special agent, a special insider of Dan Marino, former Hall of Famer. Dan Marino is special assistant to the owner, and I believe Dan Marino will talk enough good stuff to Jim Harbaugh to bring him down to South Beach. So yes, even though Michigan lost in their college championship game against Georgia Bulldogs and he was on the hot seat last year, Jim Harbaugh is coming back to the NFL to join his older brother, John Harbaugh, who I played against in college at Miami University. He's coming back to the NFL to join his brother, John Harbaugh, who is the head coach for the Baltimore Ravens. And so he wants to have some competition and get back to the NFL world and compete for the Super Bowl just like his older brother, John Harbaugh. So the Harbaughs will be back together again as coaches of two different NFL teams. And by the way, I just learned that on the staff of John Harbaugh's team and with the Baltimore Ravens is Jay Peterson. Jay Peterson, linebackers coach, assistant coach. And I know Jay Peterson as well because I played football with Jay Peterson too when he was a freshman at Miami University back in the day, 1980. So a shout out to Jay Peterson too, coach for the Baltimore Ravens. So, yes, I digress. What can I say? It's the Beatles show. It's the Football 101 show. I can do a shout out to my former teammates. But this show is all about NFL coaches fired and hired. As you know, Brian Flores, fired. Mike Zimmer, fired. Fired. Urban Meyer, fired. Vic Fangio, fired. Matt Nagy, fired. Joe Judge, just fired. And unfortunately, Rick Bisaccia, if he doesn't win this coming weekend, will be let go. Hired will be Brian Flores. I'm predicting he will go to the Chicago Bears. Jim Harbaugh will go to the Dolphins or the Vegas Raiders. Oh, let me just say, I almost forgot. Also hired, more than likely, Leftwich from the Bucks, Tampa Bay Bucks, the brother, will be hired by the Jaguars. That's my prediction. Those are my insiders are telling me. Leftwich, African-American gentleman, will be hired by the Jaguars. Also, Dan Quinn, currently defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, will be hired by the Giants or the Vikings. That's right, the Giants or the Vikings. Dan Quinn will be a head coach again. And then Eric Bieniemy, offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs right now, potentially will go to the Vikings. So there you go. Those are my predictions for coaches fired and hired 2022. This is the Beetle. I'm just telling it like it is. It's a sad day, but it's also a great day because we're going to have an influx of new head coaches, potentially more African Americans, persons of color in the NFL. That's what's needed. NFL is, let me just say this, really slow in equalizing. They have this Rooney rule to bring in more persons of color, minorities into the NFL. It's not working well at all. And I will call out the NFL PA if they don't correct this situation ASAP. There should be a protest. There should be, the players should stand up and say, enough is enough. All these owners are picking their favorite players, and they're doing the nice thing to interview all these candidates, but they know who they're going to select. So again, I'm calling out the NFL. I'm calling out the commissioner to put down some specific rules, to legislate, to bring in a stronger policy to these owners and these general managers, to bring in more diversity to top management, to coaches at all levels. It's ridiculous. It's 2022. And you know certain coaches are doing their best to bring in diverse coaches at all levels and staff at all levels. But it's really, let me just say, I'm calling out the owners, and the owners know what they're doing, and it's not good even in 2022. So there you go. Yeah, I use this show really to call out the owners. Enough is enough. Let's make a change. Let's be respectful to the players of the NFL and the players and their families, and give them props and give them just due, and bring in the coaches that truly relate to them and know the game. This is the Beetle. This is Football 101. Coaches fired and hired. Happy New Year. Happy New Year, y'all. We out.